for cancer programs, one of the big ways that we would engage with our chapters is through the Commission on Cancer and through our Cancer Liaison program. So I was just going to talk a little bit about that, give you an overview and an update, and then be happy to answer any questions that you might have. So for those of you that are not familiar with the Commission on Cancer, it's a consortium of professional organizations dedicated to improving survival and quality of life for cancer patients through standard setting, prevention, research, education, and monitoring comprehensive quality care. So the Commission on Cancer does this by establishing standards, by conducting surveys, by collecting data from COC accredited programs. We use that data to monitor treatment patterns and outcomes. And then we also offer educational resources to our members, to folks at our accredited programs. The Commission on Cancer is multidisciplinary. So we have 64 professional organizations represented. All of the professions that you see on this slide are represented on the Commission on Cancer. And then, of course, we also have surgeons who represent the American College of Surgeons. We have about 1,500 accredited programs around the country. This is about a quarter of all U.S. hospitals. And the COC programs treat more than 70% of all cancer patients. So the Committee on Cancer Liaison is one of the committees of the Commission on Cancer. I'm the staff liaison along with my colleague Danielle Lopez. The chair is Dr. Quinn Chu, who's a former COC state chair in Louisiana, and the vice chair is Dr. Maria Castaldi, who is the state chair for the Manhattan Council region. This group directs the activities of the Cancer Liaison Program. They oversee the activities of the volunteer state chairs who are in place in every state and every region where there's a chapter. And those folks in turn oversee the work of the Cancer Liaison physicians who are assigned at every accredited program in the country. They also work very closely with our partners, the American Cancer Society, who Cancer Society is a funding agency for the Cancer Liaison Program. And then this group also sponsors the COC research paper competition, which I'll talk about in just a minute, a little bit more about that. And also we have an awards program for our state chairs. So COC state chairs are nominated by the chapter and then approved by the leadership of the committee. So what usually happens is if we have a vacancy or we know a vacancy is coming up because a state chair is going to cycle off after a 3-year term, I will reach out to you, to the executive directors, and I'll also reach out to the president and ask for nominations for this role. And then again, that will be reviewed by the leadership of the Cancer Liaison Program. In order to serve as a state chair, this is a really important role, by the way. It's really critical. In order to serve in that role, an individual must either be a fellow of the college or applying for fellowship. They need to be an engaged member of their state chapter. They need to be on staff at a COC accredited cancer program. And we would prefer if they have either served or are serving as a cancer liaison physician, either at their facility or in a past role. And of course, they have to have a very strong interest in cancer activities in their state. So there are many ways, and we hope these things are happening for the chapter to engage with the state chair. So and with the committee. So as I mentioned, if I reach out to you about an opening for a state chair in your state or your region, if you can provide us a nomination in a timely manner, that would be great. Ask your state chair to attend your chapter leadership meetings, invite them to form a chapter cancer committee if you don't already have one. Ask them to report on what the COC is doing or cancer control activities in your state. Ask them to give testimony in support of cancer legislation. They can provide content if your chapter has a newsletter or a website. They can write about what's going on with the COC. I mentioned the state paper competition. So The COC hosts a national competition every year. And in fact, this year we're excited because we're opening it up a little bit. We're going to have individuals are going to be able to submit their papers in 2 areas, basic science and clinical research. So we'll have twice as many winners this year, first, second, and third place winners in both areas. And this is a great way to shine a light on some of the good work that is being done by young fellows. I know that many states host their own paper competitions, and that's great. And I think what usually happens is for those states that do, they encourage their winners to submit their papers to our paper competition. And I do believe last year and probably the year before as well, the winners were folks who had won paper competitions in their own state. And it's not because they get any extra credit for doing that, because not every state does this, but it had to go through their papers had to go through a pretty rigorous process already. So they usually are some of the best of the best. If you're not doing a paper competition, please help us promote the COC's national paper competition. We welcome submissions. Last year, we had a record 97 submissions. Our chair said it was because everyone had nothing else to do because of COVID. I don't think that was it. I think people were really excited to get involved. And one thing I do want to say, please let me hear from you about how things are working out with your state chair. So if they're doing a good job, if they're engaged, great. I want to hear about that. Likewise, if they are not, if you are reaching out to them and you are hearing radio silence, they don't accept invitations to attend your meetings or report, let us know. This is a really important role for the COC, and it's very important for us that they be engaged with the chapters. So if the individuals in this position aren't doing that, we want to know about it, because we need to find out why, and if they can't do it, then we need to find somebody else for the role. So I appreciate, I know some of you have reached out with feedback, and again, that's great. If you are interested in learning more about the COC and what we're doing, there's a couple different ways that you can do that. A good place to start is our website, and you can find out information about COC, its governance, COC standards, the accreditation process, the paper competition. Excuse me, all of that is on our website. In addition, we have a weekly e-newsletter that we publish, Cancer Programs News. I hope that all of you are subscribing, and if you're not, please do, and you can shoot me an email. I'm going to put up my email address in just a minute. Shoot me an email and I will get you on the list and make sure you have it. We are also on social media, barring the scariness that Paula said, but we are on social media, so follow us on Facebook and Twitter. We will do the same, and feel free to share or retweet our postings. And so this is my email address, and my colleague Danielle Lopez, who also works with this program. So if you have questions, if you want to provide some feedback, if you have some concerns, you should always feel free to reach out to me.